All right, so this is the second part of the tutorial, and in part 2 we will look at the solutions to the challenges that we presented in the first video. So in the second part, we will look at solutions to the first two challenges, which is challenge number 1 is our listing challenge. There, what we want is a system that automatically fetches product information when you scan the item's barcode. Number 2, we want to be able to automatically distinguish between existing versus new listings. So as we scan items into the software, it should be able to tell us what is already live on our selling channels versus for which items we need to create brand new listings, right? And then finally, the third challenge is the software should also be able to automatically update your existing listings, basically assign the new quantities that have come in into separate locations, all right? And in addition to that, for the new listings that you're not currently selling that have come in, it should be able to publish those listings across all your selling channels. And for the storage challenge, we want to figure out how our warehouse will be organized, the layout of the warehouse. And second, how can we store items so that they stay organized and so that they are easy and fast to pick and pack. So the first thing you have to figure out is how you're going to organize your warehouse and how you're going to store stuff inside your warehouse. Now, there's 4 different layouts that I am familiar with that I'm going to show you in this video. Okay, and you may go with that one layout, or you may even go with multiple layouts, depending upon the type of items that you're storing. This is all depending upon the type of items that you're storing. Okay, it's based on that. So you should, so that's what it's based on. Okay, so that's why you might go with more than one layout. Okay, so let's cover each one in detail. Okay, so imagine this entire area here is your warehouse. Okay, and these are basically long rows, from the beginning of your warehouse to the end. So what you've done is you've divided up your warehouse into different rows. So row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So on the floor of your warehouse right here, as you enter, there'll be a big sticker, with row 1, and then there'll be another big sticker with row 2, row 3, and so forth. Now within each row, you basically have shelves, right? So you have different shelves placed next to each other. And the other thing you've done is you have put really big stickers here in front of each shelf on the floor. So as I'm walking through my warehouse, if someone says me, hey, go to R1E, I know that I go to row 1 and then I walk down until I see this big sticker on the floor that says R1E. So that's how I know how I can get to the shelf. Okay, so each of the shelves are basically named based on the row that they're on, and then the position of where they are within that row, A, B, C, D, and so forth. All right, same thing here. You've got R2, R2A, R2B, R23, and so forth. Okay, so all right, so you've got that down, right? You've got all these different rows and shelves going all the way down from one end to the other, each one labeled with a big sticker on the floor. Now within each shelf, you've got sections, right? So most of these shelves are typically like either 5 feet in height or 6 feet in height, and they either have 4 sections or 3 sections, right? So in this case, in our presentation, we have 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for the first layout, what we've done is we've actually broken this out in each section into each individual slots, and then we have labeled those slots. So this section here has 1, 2, 3 slots, and we have called them S1B1, S1B2, S1B3, and this is where the item is placed in one of these slots. Okay, here, and so forth. So if I tell you, hey, go grab me the item located in R1A-S1B3, you know exactly where to go to grab that item. Or hey, go grab me the item that's located in R1D, S1B4, you know exactly where to go to grab that item, right? This here, so this is S1, right? This is S2, S3, S4. Same thing here, right? S1, S2, S3, S4. All right. So the shelves themselves are just S1, S2, and then based on where they are, they get this prefix R1, R1A or R1D, and so forth. That's the first layout. If you have items that are not too big, small size, this would be a good layout for you because you can store them in these individual slots. Okay, so that's the first layout. The second layout is where you basically you don't have the slots. So you've got your shelves still, right? But each section contains the item, right? You get rid of this stuff here, the different sections. So this, if you have big enough items where you can't have 3 slots, then you go with this layout, right? Or you might just want to go with it because you decide, you know what, I don't really need the slots. Once I get there, I can figure out what the item is. So I can store multiple items here in R2, S2, you know, then you might want to go with this layout. All right, so with this layout, if you want, you know, to locate an item, it would be, hey, go grab me the item that's located in R2C-S2. And, you know, you would know that it's in R2 and in S2, located in S2. So you grab the item from that. That's the second layout. The third layout is where you have huge, really big items, right? Where you can't store them inside shelves. So you then, in that case, you would just have the different sections. Okay, and a lot of customers do have this layout where, you know, once they get to a section, once they get to a row, then they know, you know, the items are big enough to where they don't need individual locations, and they just store them here. So if I say, hey, go to RB and grab me that, you know, that bicycle, then you basically just go there and you grab it. All right. There is another layout that's quite interesting, which is a numeric layout. The way this works is you've got the same layout, almost like the S2 here. Okay, I mean the R2 here, R2 layout here. But here, what you do is when you put an item here that goes here, so you have a bunch of items actually right next to each other that go like this. So again, this works well usually for small items, okay, and the items kind of go next to each other, but you don't divide them up like we did here in S1, B1, and so forth. We don't divide them up in bins. The B stands for bins, right? So you're storing them inside bins. In here, what you do is each item gets a number. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, and so forth. So every time you add an item into the shelf, it just gets the next numeric number. So let's say so far you've added 50, right? So the next item that you're going to put inside this will be number 51. So the system auto assigns them numbers as you scan the items. Okay. Now, so this way, you tell the system, hey, I'm going to store my stuff. I want you to store the stuff in R4A. As you scan the items, they just auto increment. They just start getting numeric numbers, and you store them here. So now I tell you, hey, go to you know, grab me this item R4A 50. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to come here. All right. You're going to like kind of look through this and see what number this is, and you see this is 25, and then you see that this is 30, right? Then you know that 50 is going to be somewhere here. So then you go and you start looking at, kind of like, you know, when you're in the library and you're looking for a book in those index cards, same thing. You know, you look at the different numbers and you figure out where 50 might be, and you go grab 50. Okay, so now 50 is gone. And then next time I scan an item, if my last thing that I stopped on was 55, then the next item I'm going to scan will be 56. So it's a numeric layout. The nice thing about this is that as stuff sells out, right? So as stuff, then you can just squish them together. It just kind of moves up. You know, the whole thing just kind of moves up, and the numbers keep increasing. So you may have started out with 1 and you sold everything out, and now this slot here may contain item number 25, for example, right? So 25 is here, 26, 27 next to it, you know, and so forth. So the items keep just moving up like that. So that's, you know, so you don't have to, it's almost like self-organizing, right? You never have any empty slots, because like once or twice a week, you just go back and you squish everything up. You just fill up, you just move everything together, you fill up all the empty slots, and now you have new area here. So like, you know, imagine like you've sort of, you know, taken all the items are scattered like this as you make sales, right? And once or twice a week, what you do is you squish everything up so the items all end up together, and then you have all this free space where you can store new items, right? Okay, and then the way you find items again is you just look at the numbers and you figure out where that item's going to be based on the numbers. I mean, if this is 20 and this is 30 and you're looking for let's say 25, then you know that it has to be somewhere within this, right? So that's how the numeric ones work. Give it some thought. It may be a good setup for you if you're selling small items like media items and so forth, that don't require a lot of space and that move very quickly, and you end up with a lot of blank spaces all over your warehouse. Then this might be a good one because it's very easy to just get someone to go in there and say, hey, consolidate all the items in the shelf, and all he or she has to do is just move the items together. That's it, and you've saved a bunch of space. So that's the last layout. Okay. Now, how do you decide which layout you're going to go with? Again, depends on the items you're selling. If it's better for you to break stuff up into bins within each section, then go with this one. If your items are big enough, or where it doesn't make sense to have them inside bins, but each can be stored inside a section of a shelf, then go with this one. If they're so big that you can't store them inside shelves, then go with this one. And if it's where they're moving quickly and you've got all these empty slots, but they're small enough to where you can fit multiple ones within a shelf, then go with the numeric one. Okay. Now that we looked at all the different layouts, I'll show you how you can use SellerChamp to scan items, assign them to specific sections within your warehouse, and then how you can store them in those sections. Okay, so let's go back to our fictitious example. And consider that we have received all this inventory from our supplier. So our supplier just sent us a bunch of inventory here, right? And they've come in all these different pallets, and the items are all scattered across the different pallets. So red is in pallet number 1, and I also have red in pallet number 2. I have this yellow item that I've never sold before, and so forth, right? Some of these I'm already selling. I just need to update the quantities for them. And some of these I've never sold before, for which I need to create new listings. All right. So I'm going to show you now how you can use SellerChamp to do all of this. All right. So what you want to do is, once you've logged into SellerChamp, you want to switch to your primary selling channel, whether that be Amazon, WooCommerce, Shopify, what have you. You want to switch to that primary selling channel, and you want to create a batch. A batch is where everything gets scanned. Okay. So all your items that you receive from your supplier today will all get scanned into a batch. By default, it's today's date, but you can, put something next to it like my name and the number 1. All this rest of information is optional. There are other videos that go more into detail, so I'm going to skip the going into details for what all these different options are, and I'm going to create add batch. Now, once that batch is created, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your scan gun. You're going to go get the first item from the pallets of items that the supplier has sent, and you're going to scan it in. So you're going to take that and you're going to scan it in here. And you can also pick the item condition that this is, like new, very good, and so forth. You can optionally give it a location for where this is going to go in your warehouse if you know that location ahead of time. In our case, we don't know that. Okay. So we're just going to scan everything in for now. So I'm just going to give it the quantity of 1, and I'm going to scan it. All right, as you can see, what SellerChamp has done is it's gone out and grabbed all this information for you just from the UPC code or the ASIN code. Okay, as you can see, it's got the multiple pictures, and if you click in the edit, it's got the pricing at which it's currently selling on Amazon, the sales rank. You can also give it your cost price, right, for what this item was. All right. Again, you can give it a location if you know exactly where you're going to be putting it in your warehouse. You can go ahead and type that in now, or you can wait until later. In this video, we're going to wait until later because we don't know right now. And you can see it's populated all of the features and so forth. Okay. So all that data is automatically fetched for you. And then again, you can go into it and you can make updates. For instance, in this case, there is no description. So I can take my features and I can create a really nice description out of this. And now there are AI tools that you can use for this. For example, ChatGPT. I can take these features, go into ChatGPT and say create description or rephrase, and it'll actually create a really nice description based on the features that are here. Okay. That's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be entering this stuff from scratch. Okay. You want to be using existing data to help you come up with variations of that data. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is scan in my next item. Okay. And as you can see, You know, the sound that you just heard, the ching, that means it created a new listing. Whenever it creates a new listing, you'll hear that sound. So I don't have this in my inventory. It's a new product. So it created a new listing, auto-generated my SKU for me, initialized my plan, my price, and so forth. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to scan my next product. All right. Let's say I have 2 of these, and I'm going to hit, let's say I have 3 of these, and I'm going to hit add. Okay, and now you see what happened? In this case, when it grabbed the product, it looks a little bit different. The layout looks a little bit different than the one I had before. Why is that? It's because this one I already have in my inventory. And you can tell that because of this label here that says active, which means it's already in my inventory. And guess what? It also tells me how many do I have in my inventory. So it tells me I already have 2 in my inventory and they're in stock. And since I entered 3 when I scanned in the product, it's telling me that I'm going to add 3 more. And I will have a total of 5 when I submit this batch to WooCommerce. Okay. So that's what it's going to do. It's already pulled the product back, the existing product with the existing SKU. It didn't generate a new SKU for me. And it's going to increase my quantity when I submit the batch. Okay, really nice, saves you a ton of time. And then I'm going to grab my next product and I'm going to rescan it in again, and I'm going to scan that in. Okay, so I'm going to back to my palette, grabbing the next product, and I'm scanning that in. And look what it did. I scanned in 3 because my quantity was 3 from before, and it's 4 now. Basically, this is the same product that we first scanned in. The very first product that we scanned in, this is that product. And I had already scanned in 1, right, initially. So now I scanned in 3 more, so it made the quantity 4. And if I scan it in again, for example, let's say I make this 1, and I scan it in again, it made the quantity 5. Okay, so I don't have to worry about when I have multiples of a product in, in a specific palette or that a supplier sends. I just scan them in. The SellerChamp will automatically count all of the quantities for me. Okay. And let's scan in 1 more product, and then we can move on the next part. And I scanned another product, and look what happened. This one also I have in my inventory, which I can tell by the word active. I already have 9 in stock, so it added 1 more. And when I submit this batch, I'm going to add 10 total. All right. So at this point, I can fix up my prices for some of these products, that may be incorrect or that I may want to change. Like for instance, this is selling at $468, but I don't want to sell it so low, so I'm going to make it $768. So you can make those adjustments that you want. You can fix up your categories if they're not correct. So just validate all of your data and make sure everything looks good. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to now take these items and we're going to store them in our warehouse. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab a cart, a rolling cart, put all these items that you've just scanned into that cart and start to go into your warehouse. Okay. Now you're going to go to your warehouse to one of those racks. So by now you've probably already decided which layout you're going to go with, right? We went over 4 different layouts, and you've probably decided, if you haven't, you should decide which layout you're going to go with. So I'm going to imagine that you're going to go with the first layout, which is, we have a long row with shelves in it, and then you've got sections within those shelves. Okay, so you're going to take your rolling cart, you're going to find the area that is empty where you can store items. Then you're going to go into more actions, assign item locations, all right? And here you are going to type in the name of the location where this item is going to be stored. So, you're going to type in R1, let's say B, okay? And you're going to store this item in S2, okay? Now, this print icon here lets you print a location label. So you can just click print and print this barcode. So next time around, you don't have to type it in like the way I typed it. You can just stick this label on that location, and you can just stick your scan gun and scan it, okay? So rather than typing this in, what you would do is you would scan in that location to get this value populated, okay? You can also bulk print your location labels, but there's a separate video that goes into that. And then you're gonna say scan item, then you're gonna grab that first item, okay, that you want to store there, and you're gonna scan that in, and you're gonna click assign, okay? So 5 units of this SKU that we just, this barcode that you just can have been assigned to this location. So all 5 of them go there. Then you're going to take those 5 items and you're going to store them there in that location. Okay. Same thing with the next one. I'm going to go next one. Let's say S2 is now filled. So I'm going to change this to S3. I'm going to scan in my item and I'm going to click assign. Okay. 1 unit has been stored in LBS3. And then same thing with next one. I'm going to change this to S4, for instance, or maybe S3, I have bins in there, so I can say S3.B2 and assign that a location. Okay, so now that has a location, and you're going to do this for all your items. Okay, assign them into different locations just like this. Scan the location, scan the item, scan the location, scan the item, scan the location, scan the item. All right, and then when you're all done, then all your items with the batch have been assigned locations. You're going to click save and close. Okay. And now as the page reloads, you'll see that they all have locations now. Before this was empty, now they all have locations. So 1 unit of this is going to go to this location, 5 units going to go here, 3 units going to go here, and so forth. So by this time, all your items have been scanned in and they have been listed, they have been stored in your warehouse. Okay, and you've gone through the batch, you've fixed your pricing, you fixed your descriptions, and you are ready to hit publish these, my friend. So you are going to come in here, submit to multiple channels, select your selling channels where you're going to publish them. So eBay, Amazon, what have you. All right, and then you're going to hit submit. That is going to publish these items across all your channels. That's it. That's how easy it is. I mean, you basically received inventory, you scanned them in, you stored them in locations. All of them have assigned locations, and you've published your items. Okay, so that concludes part 2 of this tutorial, where we went over the solution for the challenge of how to list products across all your selling channels quickly and efficiently, and how to store them in your warehouse quickly and efficiently. Now in the next part of this video, I'm going to cover how you can efficiently pick and pack and ship your items so that you've got multiple shippers that are not running into each other, and so that you're picking the right item in a quick and easy manner. So we'll go over that next in part 3.